What's up, people? This is Lucky. Welcome back. It's been a while since I've done a video, but I come back to you now at the turn of the tide. Wrong franchise. We are not talking Lord of the Rings today. We're talking Star Wars, specifically Rogue One. Now, this will be spoiler-free for at least the first half of the video, maybe the first third of the video. And then I will give you fair warning for you to bail out if you don't want to be spoiled for the movie. And then I'll move into spoilerish territory. As far as the footage you're seeing, dug up some of my old Battlefront clips. I have quite a few games and stuff saved. Went through, pulled out some clips. I hadn't played Battlefront in a while. Haven't even downloaded the Scarif DLC. Last time I played was the weekend the Death Star DLC came out. Played that all weekend long, and it was a fucking blast. But unfortunately, or fortunately, I am just into Overwatch, hardcore and heavy. And when I do have time to game, which I haven't had a lot of lately because of the holidays, Merry Christmas, Overwatch is usually what I'm playing. And now that we've dispensed with the pleasantries, let's get right down into the review. So Rogue One, I've seen it twice now, just so you know. And in the first viewing, my first viewing of it, I really liked it. I really enjoyed the characters. I enjoyed the story overall. I like the setting, obviously, that it's in. And in general, I enjoyed the movie. That being said, and to be completely truthful, there were some things, as a long-term Star Wars fan, that did bother me. Gareth Edwards is the director. He takes a different approach in some ways. This is not necessarily spoiler territory, but there's no opening crawl in this movie. He also uses a number of cuts, transitions. There's camera work and angles that's really not native to the Star Wars universe. So if you've watched, and I have probably literally seen the original trilogy films, I would not be surprised if 1,000 times plus, in the four figures. And I mean that literally, because there was a time there in the 90s where literally almost every other day, at least 3 or 4 times a week, a Star Wars episode 4, 5, or 6 was playing, whether I was sitting there watching every second of it or not. But it was on at least some point in the day, usually as we went to sleep, all the damn time. So I know those films backwards and forwards, and fucking wrecking balls, baby. Look at this. Walker Assault, Twilight, Hoth, Empire. Anyways, so I just absolutely love those films, and so little nuances like that. This has John Williams' score, but it is a different score. I wasn't used to some of the music in it. That was set me off just a little bit. And then there was a few. They're not big problems because they're not big story problems, but there are a few kind of bigger things that I can't really talk about without going into spoilers about what they are, that bothered me as well. More from the special effects side. And they're brief, they weren't huge, but they did stick out where I kind of noticed them. Just a few little things here and there. So when I left the first viewing, I really enjoyed the experience. I liked it. It was a good movie. I would have recommended the movie, obviously, but it felt a little off. I rank it better than the prequels, obviously, but to me it wasn't and then I sat on it and I thought, and gave it a few days, and then I went back for my second viewing, and the second viewing was completely different. All this stuff that bothered me, the transitions, the stuff that wasn't really native to Star Wars, it all felt more natural. I was more accustomed to the characters. I was more focused in the story. I was more involved. The soundtrack really just swept me away the second time. And like, even those other things that kind of bothered me, those just either didn't bother me at all, or they just seemed less. In general, I ended up like being completely blown away by the film. And as of right now, this is my favorite film, Star Wars film, since Empire. It is a fantastic Star Wars story, and I think Gareth Edwards did a fucking bang-up job with this film. Honestly, he's a huge fan, and it shows in the film. His attention to detail, his attention to the original trilogy, his attention to continuity. For the most part, there is a lot of continuity, and even where people will say, that there's kind of not, there is. You just kind of have to look at it from a slightly different angle. You don't have to cram it to fit like you did a lot of the prequel stuff. This stuff kind of does, it just fit very well, and there's just adds so many layers of subtext to the original films. And I went back after the first time and I watched A New Hope afterwards, and it just, man, it really added a lot of stuff to episode 4, a lot of subtext and layers to it that really kind of weren't there before. And to take a film that already is like one of my favorite films of all time, I flip-flop between 4 and Empire, from between 4 and 5, to take that and elevate it to like a different level, even beyond, for me, is amazing, right? And Gareth Edwards did that, and it's clear in his work, like, he loves it more than J.J. Abrams did. If anything, he can be faulted for loving it a little bit too much. But, that's not a problem in my mind. He totally respected the original mythos, I felt like, and decided to give that stuff a greater subtext, and not just blatantly ripping it off. This is a totally new story. This is unlike any Star Wars film that we've ever had, but also very much the same. There's no Skywalkers in it, but there are people in it. And with that being said, I do want to wrap up. I want to say that if you haven't seen the film yet, I strongly recommend that you go see this film. If you're not a Star Wars fan at all, you're not going to enjoy this film. If you're a casual Star Wars fan to a great Star Wars fan, I think you're going to like the film. If you were a fanatic Star Wars fan and you went and it was good and you liked it, I know you'll see it again. I strongly urge you to go see it again in theaters. I think the second time you see it, you're going to have the same reaction I did. I've talked to a number of other fans. They have the same reaction I did too. It's even better the second time. And, man, I can't wait to go see it a third time already. And this is just, it's a fucking amazing film. So go see it. Now, let's get into spoiler territory, and let's talk spoilers. One, oh my god, balls to the walls to Disney for having the fucking guts. I hope you've tuned out now, because this is a major spoiler. Everyone fucking dies in this film. Holy shit, and that was Vader wrecking right there in that scene. Well, let's just talk about that real fast, because that just happened. Oh my god. Vader at the end of this, Gareth Edwards gives fans a scene with Vader just at the height of his power, just completely going ham on people, and it is the most awesome fucking thing. I thought I was going to get that shit in episode 3. I never got it. Lucas denied me that. He denied fans that. He gave us some killing children, stupid 5-year-olds. Oh, Annie, please don't. Bullshit. And we get it in this film, and I love this film for it. Not only do we get that in this film, there are so many cameos. Like, I had no idea Governor Tarkin was going to be in this film. If you don't know, this film is about stealing the plans to the Death Star. It's about the very first battle that the Rebel Alliance ever won. And it's about this band of just misfits who come together, led by Jen Orso, who was played fantastically by Felicity Jones. She does an awesome bang-up job here. And it's a shame we're not going to get to see any of these people come back. But in some ways, it actually makes it that much more precious. I mean, everyone in this film dies unless they're like Vader or Leia or Tarkin. Speaking of Leia, let's talk about one of the things that bothered me. The CGI work of creating Leia was pretty bad. I think almost everyone universally agrees it's really bad. It comes at the end. It's kind of unsettling in that last shot. I think a lot of fans aren't going to like that. But in the grand scheme of things, it's only a brief second. And yes, it could have been done better. It would have been better if they had just shown her back. And I felt like R2 and 3PO, their cameo, should have also been there with her on the bridge. That would have been a much better finish. But hey, I mean, Edwards gets so much so right that I appreciate more and more this film, that I'm willing to forgive him that. To me, that's his biggest cock-up in this entire film, which in the grand scheme of things, that's not even a fuck-up, really. He does, Tarkin actually has, and Tarkin is done entirely CG. You know, Peter Cushing's been dead for years, so they did him completely CG, and his voice sounds almost impeccable. And it's a little off at times, but other times it's spot on. And it's bizarre because I think one of the things that they kind of did is trying to make him lifelike. They animated him a little too much. And if you go back and you watch A New Hope, Tarkin is stone cold. Like, he will just have like a totally, like, his face will not move. And in a scene, he'll make a single eye movement. You know, like raise an eyebrow or look sideways. But dude's stone cold. And I think that they may have slightly over-animated him a little bit. And that made him feel a little bit off. But for the most part, it bothered me more the first time I watched it. But again, as I watched the second time, that's one of those things that really kind of faded away and he felt more natural. And I had just watched A New Hope like the day before I went and watched it the second time. So you would have thought that it would have stuck out. Some people are making comments about the way Vader looks. And again, that's one of those things, you know, Vader's has changed over the years. And after watching A New Hope, he was very close to his New Hope look. In fact, I want to say he looked almost the exact same. The one other thing, I felt like Vader has a line, choke on your own aspirations. It felt cheesy. I felt like in general, the physical acting, the scene in his castle of Mustafar was kind of overdone. But then they make up for it in spades with the scene in the end, so I guess I'm okay with it. Let's talk specifically this film. They kill everyone in it. And that took a lot of guts by Disney. I didn't think Disney had the balls to do it. They obviously did. And, man, the film is better for it. It's really emotional at times. The score is really overwhelming. When the Rebel Alliance attacks, you have a ground battle and a land battle going on simultaneously. And you get to see this Rebel Alliance is not what we thought. Like, going into episode 4, you just think that they're already a cohesive unit. But you find out that the Alliance was fractured, right? It was not a cohesive whole. This thing was completely about to fall apart until this movie. And there's a lot of division in it. And it just, there's so much subtext added. One of the coolest things in it was Gareth Edwards actually went back to Lucasfilm. He pulled back some of the original footage of the attack on the Death Star, so Red Leader and Gold Leader actually reprised their roles. Man, that's amazing. Like, the number of people from the original trilogy that kind of pop in here in cool places, man, it's just a great fucking job in it. The cast was fucking impeccable. Everybody did their job. I really came Like, the first time I liked these people, and the second time I really started to love these characters. And these are characters I feel like are gonna really, really fucking grow on me. Really fucking grow on me. In general, it is my favorite since Empire. Hands fucking down. It was a great film, and I'm so ecstatic about it. I spoke briefly about Jyn Erso. I thought the character of Cassian was a great character. I mean, you talk about gray and misgiven and some of the stuff he does. There's a scene at the very beginning where a spy gives him some information and he just shoots the dude in the back. It's fucking cold-blooded. I thought the turn, I was not expecting the Rebel Alliance to give him orders to kill the father from the get-go. That was a ballsy twist that added a lot of tension. And the movie is so much better for it. The end battle scene is phenomenal. I mean, this is the Rebel Alliance and the Empire and the Death Star and Governor Tarkin and Lord Vader. This is everything that we love about Star Wars. This is the best of fucking Star Wars. And thank you, Gareth Edwards. If you guys haven't seen the film, I strongly urge you again to go see it. I can't wait to see it again in theaters and probably 100 fucking times on home video. But that being said, you guys have a very Merry Christmas. This is Lucky signing out. May the Force be with you.
Our AT-AT has been left unprotected.